And good morning. It is 25 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, now officially, he's been here for a while, but in his official capacity, Chaves County Manager Bill Williams back with us. Good morning.
Good morning. It's really nice to learn about oatmeal and all the variety of things that I learned just sitting here and listening.
You learn a whole lot more than you probably wanted to sometimes when you walk in these walls here. So, but well, fortunately, he has stuff for us to learn too.
Well, something I thought was kind of cool this morning is Sean's wearing a NASA shirt.
Yes.
And I was reading in the paper yesterday that it was since 1972 when we did the last moonshot, and they're getting ready to do that.
They're going to do it again.
Like,
yeah.
All right. I remember watching the first one and subsequent ones.
I know people love or hate Elon Musk.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of dig him, but that's just me. But people that don't, or say what you want about him, I think he's lit the fire for us to be back into the space program again. And
challenge accepted kind of thing.
And to be honest, that the biggest mistake I think we as a country made is scale back in our late 80s, 90s, the NASA program.
Yep.
The shuttle program, when it ended, there should have been something right on its heels coming back in, and there wasn't, and that's that. And now we're relying on Russians to get to space and all this dumb stuff, and you're like, this ain't how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be us leading the way, putting people on the moon. I get international, that's all good, but America needs to get back in the space exploration game.
I felt like it was going to progress like everything scientific does. You start out with this, and then you make it to the moon, and then whatever, and we just kind of became stagnant after.
And that's just right, because if you look from, 60, when Kennedy made his proclamation about putting a man on the moon before before the end of the decade, from that moment up through even the 80s, NASA moved at a lightning pace. We created a space program in basically that time. No one, we put, the Mercury, the Gemini and Apollo programs all put us on the moon. Apollo went into the 70s, and then they ran out of money, and they kind of, but the shuttle program picked back up, which was so unique of its kind because that's the first rocket or first
reusable.
Yeah, where they can go up in it and come back in it. And we thought, well, this is setting the tables for Mars and everything else. And what happened was the politicians decided the money wasn't there for this, and they did use other things for it, and our space program died, and all those talk of going to Mars and stuff. We probably, I would argue, if we kept the pace up, I would say before the end of this, I'd say by 2025 we'd have been on Mars by now. I think, and maybe even sooner, maybe 2018. I think we could have been.
It would be interesting to see what's there.
I think we would have been, and I think because of the cutbacks in the late 80s and 90s and all that, and 2000s for that matter, up until the last 5-6 years here, I think we took a severe hurt in that progress towards our own humankind, science, and pushing those envelopes. So.
Well, I was not very old in 1969 when they did the first moon landing. But I remember it. I mean, not vividly or anything, but I remember sitting in front of the television, watching this kind of fuzzy screen kind of blip by. It was very interesting. To a little kid. And
everyone's tuning in. Walter Cronkite's doing his
every kid, back then wanted to go to Cape Canaveral and be an astronaut, and so that was pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, they were rock stars. And that was. If you ever watch, I know we're supposed to talk county here, so I'll wrap this up with this note. But if you ever watch some of these, like even Apollo 13, or
that's a great movie.
If you watch the HBO From Earth to the Moon series, you'll get a real glimpse of what the lifestyle of these astronauts were in the 60s and 70s. With they're Playboy rock stars and everything else. It was, but then again, what they're asking these people to do, it takes a certain breed to say, we're going to put you in a tin can and shoot you up into space where no man's ever been before. How's that sound to you?
I ain't scared.
Yeah. So it takes a certain mindset to be, strap me into this tin can and let's go, And so, people respect that. But anyway, go check it out if you get a chance. It's really cool. Let's talk county business.
Right,
let's get in that area a little bit here. Of course, County Commission met back in a regular schedule.
Yes, we're
now,
back on the regular schedule.
After a few months of moving around and stuff.
And we'll see if we can stick with our regular schedule throughout the rest of the year. We'll see. There's a lot of schedules to.
I'm about to say, it is an election year with the midterms and all that, and sometimes that can impact when the commission meets and all that.
And we had
we'll
one
see.
commissioner yesterday that appeared by phone.
Okay.
Previous meeting, I think we had 2 that appeared by phone.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's been difficult to
Coordinate.
get everyone available. But,
Yeah,
but we've been making it happen.
Good deal. Well, so they met yesterday for their normal.
Right.
That's their normal meeting time. Is
Yes,
the third Thursday at 9 a.m.
At 9 a.m.
They're in the at the county admin building. There in
Right.
the county. If you go through the main entrance, keep walking straight. You'll hit the county commission.
Can't miss it at that point,
chambers
yeah.
there. So
And I've said this before, and I think I'll lead off with this. We had a good group of people came in to tell us, what their opinions were on concerned citizens, and talking about voter integrity. And anytime the public comes in and engages the commissioners and tries to make them aware of what's going on in the community and what they would like to see them do, and the commissioners, that's what gives them the energy or the fuel to find these things and to someone take it on and champion the cause. And so anytime the public comes in, they're more than welcome. Of course, this group had some very important stuff to discuss, and it was great.
Good.
Because I think there is a lot of concern these days with voter integrity and how do we assure that that our votes are all counting.
Well, you kind of see what's going on in Otero County over there,
Right.
and kind of are we seeing similar what's the word I'm looking for? Similar curiosities if we're dealing with some of the stuff that Otero County is dealing with? Or?
Well, yeah, everyone would like to know exactly what we're dealing with. Of course, the big takeaway from our meeting yesterday is we have a great county clerk. And Cindy and her team, they're very honorable.
They are.
There's no doubt that what they're doing is absolutely right and fair and
well, I didn't know if like the machines and things. I know in Otero they're worried
Right.
about the voting machines
right.
and
that's a concern nationwide, and that's some of the concerns they brought up about the Dominion machines.
Yeah.
But
I think Otero's like one of the counties that they're taking this to the mat and saying we're going to go all the way with this.
Right.
I didn't know if some people in this county were we should jump on board with that.
There are people that would like us to do that, and the commissioners are still evaluating what they think is the best process to move forward with that. So anyway, like I say, it's always great to have people from the public come in and let us know. And there's always a variety of things. Sometimes people just come in to let us know that the roads in their neighborhood maybe need to be fixed
that's why we have these meetings
or praise reports. Hey, thank you guys for doing this, and it's just really good to have the public involvement.
Sure. And I imagine when all of our commission members when they first ran for county commissioner, and they're kind of in their heads thinking what the role of a commissioner does and things, and I think the first thing they think of is like my job is. It's that meeting, like we're talking about, where the members of the public are informing them about things that they may or may not be on their radar, and then as a commission, tackling those issues and trying to come up with a resolution.
And when they determine what they want to do, whether it's about roads or budgets or whatever, they let us know. And as the administrator for the county, then I send that out to the right departments, and we make whatever arrangements we need to bring a resolution to them or an ordinance to them or a personnel action.
And this is something I know county and everything, that relationship's been there for a long time, where even if there's stuff the county commission has to do that may not be popular with the residents, they at least say, I get what you're saying, but this is the reason why we have to do it this way. And I think that makes such a more transparent, clear thing. It's like, look, I get that I disagree with the decision you made, but I can at least understand the logic and reasoning behind that decision. And that's when we talk about government, that's, you're not always going to get your way, but at least you should have an understanding of why it's being done that way.
Well, one of the procedures that they have during the commission meeting, when they have open communication at the end, it's up to 3 minutes per person, not to exceed 15 minutes maximum, because we don't want to be there for 4 hours, but they try to keep it moving along, but they don't make any decisions. They rarely answer any questions. They just soak it all in. They listen to what the problem or whatever is. They might ask a question to get a clarification, but then they take that back home and and digest it and try to figure out what to do with it. And
Sure.
so we're glad that we have that opportunity for people to talk.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite part of it.
Well, and that's good government. At the
Right.
end of the day, that's how. And God, I wish we had this in Santa Fe too, because our state would be so much better if it was. You may not agree with everything, but at least everyone's in on the conversation.
Yeah.
And their point of view is heard, and that's what you get. All you can ask for in your government sometimes.
And one of the things that we talked about a little bit yesterday, or I talked about in my remarks, is Diane Taylor, who's whirlwind of activity.
Yeah.
She's always busy doing something. She put together a tour of the Pecos Valley production facility.
Okay.
And
the cannabis
facility for all of our local legislators, and they came from some distance. Actually, we've had about 40 people, I would guess, out there, and they showed us every aspect of this operation, and it's just mind-boggling the number of people that are employed there, the products that they do. I'm first to tell you, I've only seen pot like twice in my life,
right?
And there's probably hundreds of products that they have, lip balms and powders, and
I wonder because I've always stated, once. Because I think at some point it'll be federally legal at some point. I think that's something, I don't know if it'll be in, 5 years, 20 years or whenever, but at some point I think that's going to happen. And you're going to see a different change in everything, because that's when you're going to see like Budweiser and Marlboro and these national companies get involved with that stuff. And my curiosity is, you look at like Pecos Valley Pharmaceuticals, and you're one of those that, when that happens, it looks like they're going to be set up to go national. You know what I mean? And you wonder if they're...
And currently they can't cross state lines because it is federally...
Yeah, but you wonder if they're going to become maybe the Budweiser or the Marlboro or the Jack Daniels of cannabis here, especially not just for New Mexico, but for maybe the West or something like that.
I don't know. And, I'm one of those people that holds back a little bit about fully endorsing cannabis, but it is here, and that's the thing, and that's what Diane wanted us to recognize. It's here. There's a lot of money coming in, but none of that money, Diane works very hard with the DWI programs, and she says none of that money is going towards prevention or keeping it away
education
from kids,
and
the education, all those things that she does. And
we
so
need to change
she wanted
that.
to make us aware of how big of an industry it is, and try to lay the groundwork now while it's coming in, so that we never even think about it, but there's money set aside to take care of the problems that it may bring in.
Well, and we know the state's going to tax those groups.
Right.
That's part of the reason we want to make it legal, but whether we use that portions of that for education, but something needs to be established.
Yeah. And of course it has to be earmarked. Administrations change in Santa Fe.
Yes.
And if you've set something aside and it's not earmarked for something specific, even if it is earmarked specifically for something, someone will raid that account and you won't get it. So I think that's kind of her way of thinking, is we need to make sure that there are monies that are already labeled. This has to go to take care of whatever issues might come up because of it. And I thought she did a great job getting this put together.
Yeah.
And it was a real eye-opener for me. I just, never realized the scope, I guess.
Sure. Well, and this, let's face it, the reason why states like New Mexico, many others want to legalize or did legalize it, is it's the cash cow opportunities is one of the advantages there. And we want to certainly take advantage of that. But at the same time, we don't want to just use all that money for other things and say, you know what, because just think about it, like, when you buy liquor or whatever and you pay a tax on a portion, that's going back to the DWI programs and things like that.
And to level the playing field, too. If it's what's fair for the goose, fair for the gander, or good for the goose, good for the gander, if they're doing that with alcohol distributors and stuff, they certainly need to be doing it, I would think.
I would agree with that statement. Treat them equally. Whatever you decide on that, treat them equally.
But there's so much science and stuff. That's really kind of what blew me away. It kind of took me back to my New Mexico State days when I was working in the agronomy department. They're sitting down there. They're doing, of course, they're with cannabis, but they're doing things with the plants that we did in the agronomy department, identifying things, looking at certain things. I said, oh man, that takes me back a long time ago. But there's a real ag component. And of course, that's why that family is doing so well with it. The Great Houses, they've
Sure.
been in farming and
Well,
dairy business their entire lives, and so
and
they understand those needs.
yeah, and people can sit there and say, medical card, really, medical card, this thing and that, but in that cannabis industry, I mean, I'd say in the 70s, it's like, yeah, okay, but now they literally can modify and create strains that do exactly what they want it to do. If you're dealing with headaches or you're dealing with pain or maybe you're cancer and nausea and you don't eat, and they can make strains that won't make you sleepy tired but will make you hungry to eat, or they'll make you you're dealing with pain, it's not going to make you loopy, but it'll address the pain in your body that's going on. Granted, yes, it's unlike you take alcohol and there's no medicinal benefits from alcohol. There just isn't. Where cannabis is the opposite of that. So I really think, sure, there's going to be the abuse and and education and all that, but I believe at the end of the day, there are going to be people that haven't gotten medical treatment or dealing with issues that we haven't really solved, and cannabis is going to find us some solutions there.
Well,
I believe that's true.
That's the hope, I think,
Yeah.
is that there are a lot of areas that it can be improved even more and can
they
help
make
a lot
great
of people.
strides.
So,
I think there's a lot more to come. I got to be honest, in the mental health world, I think cannabis could be, when they get the science on this and start breaking it down even more, I think that they're going to even start treating mental health things through cannabis. I think they're going to find some solutions for certain conditions.
well, that would be good. And I know next hour you're going to have
Chief
Christina
Smith
Arnold
and Christina Arnold, yeah.
Chief Smith in, and we did have that meeting yesterday, and it was a real eye opener with the Miami-Dade, Florida program they've got in place, and we had all the people that are in that business and the government officials and stuff there yesterday. Everyone talking about what parts of this or how would we initiate something like this, and so we've had some real good open discussions yesterday about how to try to do something help out here.
Yeah.
And of course, we've also been having discussions. They're building a new mental health facility, regional mental health facility in Curry County. I believe they got six different entities involved with that so far. And we've at the county discussed, well, do we, get on board with them so that we have something? And it'll be a pretty large facility. It'll rival the one in Las Cruces, probably about 100 beds.
Okay.
And so, that would be a big benefit. Or do we engage with Eddy and Lee County, see if we can put something together for Eddy, Lee, and Chaves to kind of regionalize again?
Yeah.
Because that's a real issue for all of us these days.
I know that the commission and all those, the county will determine those, but I think at some point we will need our own, whether we can piggyback on Curry County for 5-10 years. But I think down the road, it's going to be something we need and should be needed, because I think we as a country need to, I keep saying this every time, Susan G. Komen mental health. What I mean by that is have walks for hope and pink ribbons and all that stuff for mental health, so they can raise gazillions of dollars, and let's put in these mental health facilities, treatment. Let's just get it. Just throw all the science we can into this and try to help people with it.
And we do have some people working diligently in our community. After Counseling Associates left, and then Turquoise came in left, and then La Casa stepped up, and they're doing their best. It's like everywhere, though. They can't get the personnel they need. They can't get the funding that they need.
Yeah.
And they can only handle so many cases. And
I figured
we need help. And then there's also private companies that came in to fill the gap after Counseling Associates.
And I'm all for that.
left. So,
I think true advancement and true things like that, that's the private. That's not the government doing that. The government's job, and this is my opinion, the government's job is to set the table to allow them to do that and let the experts do the thing, and the government get out of the way and just keep them from doing anything shady, while at the same time letting them explore and advance human and science and mankind.
Right.
That's just my opinion, but
no,
other people disagree.
That's a great take on it, I believe.
Yeah.
So I better get to the agenda.
We should get to the meat of the agenda here.
That's what we're here for.
We're philosophizing over here.
So we had a couple of ratifications of agreements between the state and the county. One of them was for an additional $250,000 that the local legislators gave us to assist with changing out the windows in the historic Chaves County Courthouse.
Yeah.
We're getting close. It's funny how prices go up, and of course now these unstable times, prices are even higher. Originally, it started out about $400,000 to put new modern windows in the courthouse. 450, I think, was the original cost. Went out for design services and had to all be done through the State Historic Preservation. They came back, well, we think it's probably going to cost you more like $780,000 or $760,000. I don't remember the exact figure. We said, okay, well, we'll have to do what we have to do. Yeah. So then we went out for bids. It's over $1 million. And so we're doing it a floor at a time. And of course, we did the third floor and the dome last year. Those were absolutely the worst of the worst windows. We're getting ready to start on the second floor, and that has to be done very carefully because we have courts and judges trying to do their jobs.
The day jobs there, yeah.
And so it's almost going to be like a surgical demolition. We're not going to take out windows and board it up. They'll take one out. They'll put it in quietly. A lot of the stuff will have to be done after hours.
Sure.
Or
yeah, obviously when court's in session, there's not going to be a guy changing windows out in the courtroom. But.
And so, of course, that drives up costs. Too.
Yeah.
You know, when you say, well, you're going to have to do a lot of this work after
off-peak hours.
Stuff.
That's overtime. That's
so we're ready to move forward with the next step, and hopefully we'll be ahead of them as far as creating a nuisance for our courts, because obviously those guys can't slow down either. They're dealing with all this.
Well, and then I imagine like certain days are more active in courtrooms than other days that air. Right. So the days that are not as active in courtrooms, they can work on those. And then when the days where the judges are more in their or more in the courtrooms, they can work on their offices and things like that.
And so we're hoping we find that sweet spot where we can get it done quickly and maximize the ability for that building to be here for another 100 years. So another ratification of an agreement was for $50,000, which was given to us by the legislators to for the design phase, for planning for the Pecos Valley Regional Communication Center. We're actively in the process of making a larger space for them so that, you know, they were put in there right adjacent to the sheriff's office about 20 years ago, and that space probably was too small at the time, but certainly as technology has come out and they have multiple screens and they have more people and, you know, the dispatch has grown into something just really quite amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be neat if the general public could go in and see that, but obviously they can't.
Sure.
But encourage you to get to know your dispatch people, and they've got some amazing stories to tell and how all this works and interacts with the
and every time I've kind of gone into the sheriff's department, that area of the building, and see where they're at, and it's so professional in the way they're just going, and even when there's an emergency call going on, it's like they're acting like it's just a normal day here.
I know,
and you know that's really hard. Yeah.
Did what? You know? And they're okay, calm down.
Yeah.
Sir, you know,
they literally are that calm.
This is what we're going to do. Yeah, they're just really amazing, and they know how to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
they can give people limited medical advice and stuff over the phones. Okay, have you done this? Have you done this? The ambulance is on the way, but here's what you should be doing now.
High pressure on the blood.
You know, they're just trained, highly trained. Anyway, we're working on a new space for them.
Good deal.
That's coming along. We actually have some initial drawings, and we're all pretty happy with that. We also had an agreement between Chaves County and Southeastern New Mexico Economic Development District, and that was just for a lease of their building. And it's just our standard lease where it can be renewed for up to 3 additional years just by a signature. You know, we don't have to reevaluate the cost of the building and what they provide to the public, because we cannot discount anyone's rent, because that would be anti-donation problems. And so we have to show what services they provide to the community and assess that with a dollar value, and then we can reduce the rent by what they give to the community.
So it's a fair value trade in essence.
But because of Southeastern New Mexico Economic Development District, City of Roswell, Tatum, Eunice, I mean, there's a large group of us that are able to get, for instance, legislative capital outlay. They assist us, they help us. CDBG projects, they assist us and make sure that we do all our reporting correctly and that we apply right. And so they're a real valuable asset to us. So we're glad that they're right next door to us.
Absolutely.
Every year since Charlotte has been here, she has a resolution to authorize suspending the minimum penalty requirements for the property tax code. So if you have a $5 tax bill and you pay it late, the penalty is $5, you know, so it says, you know, there's no sense having the additional paperwork for some of these small amounts. And I don't know the exact amount where it cuts off, but when it makes no sense to to do
nickel and
that.
dime someone over nickel and dime,
and so
pretty,
she's done that every year, and she's very diligent about making sure that the commission approves them to do that.
Sure.
And
well, and the fine's not there to, in theory, not there to just collect money. The fine's there to encourage people to pay on time.
yeah, absolutely.
So if someone's $5 tax bill and they get charged with a $5 thing, that's just being a jerk. But if they owe $1,000 and you hit them with a $5, then that's okay. That's reasonable to me, and that's what she does, is make sure that the punishment fits the crime a little bit there. So.
Yeah. I'm not sure I want to agree with you on that particular
but understand
phrasing.
the logic behind it anyway.
But we also had an invitation to bid for vector control chemicals. You know, we have a robust mosquito control program within the county, and now that it looks like it's going to be raining the next few days, we'll probably have a real population explosion because they are.
Well, first comes the weeds, then comes the mosquitoes, and then the bug, everything else. So, yeah.
I managed to cut about 5 acres last night because the weeds, after last week's 1 inch of rain, the weeds shot up.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the third time I've cut them this week, but I managed to get about probably close to 5 acres done. Just have 20 more to go.
Yeah, but just as fast as the weeds are mosquitoes. You put a puddle in overnight, they laid eggs, and 100 mosquitoes showed up.
In fact, when I was waiting to get in the front door here today, a mosquito was buzzing around, and I get away from me. Need you landing on my nose and have a big red spot this morning.
Explain that one.
But it was for our vector control chemicals and also glyphosate that we use for weed control in certain areas. They don't use it widely throughout the county, but there are areas where they do need to assure that the weeds are kept down a little bit. So ended up that one bidder couldn't bid on the glyphosate and the other bidder couldn't bid on some of the vector control stuff. And so we actually awarded the bid to both of the vendors who submitted, because that way we can cover the whole thing.
So one will do one and one will do the other.
Right.
Basically.
And that's for, I believe that it's for the next 4 years. I believe that's the length of the contract that we can use them for.
Okay.
So that'll be helpful. We don't, we always try to do it that way so we don't have to come back every year, will you approve us to buy this? Then we need some more at the end of the year and come back and ask them to approve it again.
Eliminate some of the housekeeping stuff.
We try to keep our task at the commission meetings as compact and short. Sometimes we have a huge agenda. Sometimes we have a fairly easy agenda. In fact, yesterday's was pretty easy. With all the public comment and everything, I think we were right at about an hour. And the public comment, of course, took quite some time. And as I say, it should take time, and that's the most important part of probably what we did yesterday was talk to the people about what their needs and wants were. So
government is doing better to get it right than get it fast.
Yep.
That's everything the government does is glacial. And if you know that and remember that, then you'll probably understand the process of government a little bit better.
Yep.
So.
And I've mentioned this one before. We had a waiver of right-of-way fees for Burindo Water Cooperative. We have groups that we have what we call franchise agreements with throughout the county, and that allows them to use our county right-of-ways or whatever for extending utilities, for instance. The electric companies, we have franchise agreements with them. We have a franchise agreement with Burindo Water Cooperative. We also have a road use policy that says if you dig up the bar ditch, you have to pay so much per foot. If you make a cut in our road, depending on the size of the cut, it's going to cost you. And the larger the cut is in the road, the more the costs are, which would make sense. If you can take a trenching machine and trench a 6-inch wide thing and then repair it appropriately, it's probably not going to cave in. You're not going to have a speed bump or a pothole there for the rest of your life. But when you take a large machine and dig out a 6-foot by 8-foot hole in the middle of the road, then we need to be a little more concerned.
Sure.
And those costs can be pretty high. And, Burindo has a huge network of pipelines throughout our county, as do others. There's Cumberland Water Cooperative and Fambro down by Hagerman, so they're not the only ones with water lines. But
they make up the group. Yeah.
Yeah, they cover a pretty large area here in Roswell, Burindo does. And so they had 2 water leaks that they had to repair, and we have put in a provision within our road use policy, right-of-way policy, that if you repair it appropriately, and we have all the steps in there, what we expect to happen to get the road repaired properly, so it's not a permanent pothole or a speed bump, as has happened in some places in the past. Sometimes we miss them or people do things and we don't know about it. But Barindo's real good about getting their permits and making sure. And so we have a provision to waive those. The commission can waive those fees as long as they do the repairs properly.
Okay.
And they've been real good. They've been a real good partner with us. It's not cheap for them to repair it properly, but at the same time, it's cheaper than what our fees are.
Sure.
Because the idea is if they don't do it right and we have to go back and do it, the fees need to be high enough for us to cover doing it. So
Fixing it, yeah.
So we had a couple of waivers for them, and we're like I say, we're glad that they're working so diligently to keep our water flowing and to keep our roads smooth. So,
absolutely.
On my way to work this morning, I drove past one on my road.
Well, you get that ownership of it there.
Yeah.
Here, we got about less than a minute left here before I got to play an ad or two and get you into the top of the hour. Is there anything we want to make sure we definitely let
we had
folks
3
know about?
appointments to the Roswell Chaves County ETZ or extraterritorial, not extraterrestrial zoning commission, and that was Poncho Maples, Michael Lackey, and Rita Kane Dorhofer.
Okay.
Were reappointed for an additional year.
Good.
And that covers everything that I had on the agenda. So
Excellent.
We
made it. We squeaked it in.
To talk about space and cannabis and mental health, and still got it in.
Yeah, and even a few other things off topic there. So, of course, don't forget, folks. You can always the public is invited and encouraged
Anytime.
to attend the third Thursday of each month at 9 a.m. in the commission chambers there at the county building. They do stream.
Yes,
and
we
you can watch
are
it.
streaming on Facebook now, and we do have quite a few people that follow us that way.
So if you have to work at 9 in the morning on a Thursday, then you can watch it online there.
Right.
When you get a chance to.
Right.
So, Bill, as always, appreciate the visit, appreciate the info.
I enjoy it so much. I enjoy listening to you throughout the week. You know, the past winners or past recipients. I think you said winners yesterday too, of the historic or the Heritage Award.
The Heritage Award, 40 years.
You know, it's been very interesting all week listening to the past people who've gotten it. And, so thank you for that.
We might have one or two on the horizon here before we're done here.
Jim Gill's always entertaining. So I enjoyed listening to him yesterday.
He's a treat every time I can get him on there. He's kind of hard to get on the radio, but he's a treat when you get him there.
He's a treat. That's a nice thing to say about Jim.
And I was a little bummed that he's not doing the pumpkin thing this year. I was kind of like, man, that's one of my favorite aspects of the fair. So very good. Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
As always, appreciate it. All right.